have with me this morning the head coach for the Digicel Kickstart Clinic, Mr. John Barnes, who is a legend himself, and he's here on the island for just a few days in connection with the clinic. And I understand it's kicked off yesterday, in want of use of a better word, and it concludes today. So, Mr. Barnes, it's good to have you stopping by to let us know, what's been taking place and what sort of talent you've noticed from yesterday. And I know you're wrapping up today. It's pretty quick. So tell me a little bit. I know it's about 5 years now this program has been in
Yeah.
existence. Tell me about your experience with the
Well,
Kickstart
while the
program.
program has been going for 5 years and we've been around to 8 different Caribbean islands over the 5 year period, this is Grenada's second year. And of course, I'm glad to be here in Grenada because when I was actually head coach at a team in England, I took Kits and Bain, one of your Grenadian footballers
That's
up
right.
there.
Yeah.
Because when I was coaching the Jamaica national team, we played Grenada in the final, and although we beat them, it was apparent that Grenada has a lot of footballing talent.
Oh, yeah.
For such a small country as well in terms of population. So
Yeah.
I know that they have the talent here. It's also very appropriate that we're here at this time because when we talk about sport, we talk about all kinds of sports. And of course, being here on the day Kirani James won his 400 meters should give everybody, all of these youngsters, inspiration to be
So
able
true.
to fulfill their ambition, regardless whether it's athletics, football, cricket, anything they want to do.
Yeah.
So I will be here choosing 3 boys to go to Barbados for the Digicel camp.
Right.
And the Chelsea coaches, because we were with Sunderland last year, and now we're with Chelsea. Digicel are partnered with Chelsea, the European champions, one of the best teams in England, because clubs in England now recognize the talent in the Caribbean. Once upon a time, they were going to Africa to get the young players, and they still are, but of course now, because of the success of the Caribbean players of late in England, they're now looking to the Caribbean. So Chelsea are now going to take on board 24 boys, 3 of which come from Grenada, 3 boys from each of 8 countries. So there are 24 boys. So yesterday the talent was I expected. Unfortunately, three of the players are already up in England. That's how far they've progressed with the Jason Rogers Foundation. So they're already up there on trial. And of course, one of the boys I chose last year, he's now the under-20 captain. So yeah, the development is going well, and they're being well supported by the GFA. So all they need is an opportunity, and that's what Digital's providing for them.
So true. So when they get to Barbados, what happens after Barbados?
Well, after Barbados, they're there for a week with the Chelsea coaches. And that is when I won't be going to Barbados. I'm going to the 8 islands, choosing the 3 boys, and the Chelsea coaches take over. And I suppose if the Chelsea coaches feel that they're good enough, they may invite them up.
Right.
They may even sign them, who knows. But on top of that, what has now become a part of the clinics is also through a friend of mine, interestingly enough. He has relationship with prep schools in the USA. And they have now come on board because they've recognized the talent that's actually down here, and they can see what Digital is doing with the professional clubs in England. And they have now come on board to get involved in the clinics from the point of view of that if they feel that there are any boys good enough, they will be offering them scholarships to go to the prep schools in America, aged between 14 and 16.
Nice.
And you're talking about some Ivy League prep schools where these scholarships are worth 20 to 30,000 US a year. So from an educational point of view, for me, that is even as important, if not more important, than what the Chelsea can actually offer.
Yeah.
Because they will be giving boys an opportunity, yes, to go to America to play football, but also to get an education. So. It's building and growing year by year, the clinics. But I really think that the involvement now with the prep schools is adding much more value to it.
Yeah, definitely. What sort of age group? I mean, roughly, and I'm not sure if you would know, but what would you say is the youngest participant in the camp?
This camp is particularly for boys aged between 14 and 16.
Gotcha.
This is what this is. Obviously, there are different camps for boys of different ages. But this particular one, and it has to be quite elitist to a certain extent, because if you're talking about Chelsea Football Club coming down to look at players, they have to be the best of the best.
Yeah.
Because to go up to even be given a chance to go up to England to play in the Premier League or to sign for a club, you have to be some of the best boys in the Caribbean.
That's
know,
right.
so as much as people are looking at it and they're thinking, well, we know a player and other boys should be given opportunities, there are other opportunities being presented. But this particular one is really about trying to get the best players available.
Yeah. Now, you being such an experienced veteran, just give me
You
an
know?
idea.
You're so kind. 62 I'm old.
Well, I do my research, Tell me a little bit about the fundamentals that you would actually teach these kids. And I really hope, a lot of people say, Grenadians are so conservative. I hope they're not just looking at you and smiling and not, not asking questions. I hope they're asking questions. But
No.
what are some of the things you would talk to them about?
I grew up in
Speak to
Jamaica till I was 13.
Yeah.
Similar ages to these boys. So I know the talent that we have in the Caribbean. Grenada is no different to Jamaica, to Trinidad, anywhere else. So I know the talent we have, the physical and technical talent. The qualities that I actually look for in them and I try to impart upon them are the qualities of discipline, desire, determination, spirit, humility. And that is why I'm here in Grenada. And obviously, if I'm in Panama before, in Suriname and Haiti, and I go on to Jamaica. But if there's ever an example that you want to look at to see the kind of person that you want to be, look at Karani James. And I'll tell you why, not just because of his talent, not even because of his talent, because of his humility, his dedication. And for someone who is now the best 400-meter runner in the world, you look at the interviews he gives and what he talks about, what got him there was not just his talent.
No.
It's to do with his humility, his attitude, his commitment, his desire. Yes, your talent is part of it, but without those other attributes, you will not achieve anything. So they can't ask for a better role model than
well said. You got to be the complete package.
Unless you're going to start eating ackee like us Jamaicans, you see. Because of course, you saying is a bit different. But if you eat ackee, you don't need to have that kind of humility. You can beat everybody.
Good one, good one. Before we wrap up, Mr. Barnes, I know you're probably hoping and dreaming, just like I'm hoping and dreaming, that one day you come to Grenada for your clinic and we got some girls there.
Well, I mean, that is something that digital are talking about.
Good.
I mean, there won't be there. This will be it won't be the girls and the boys, but
Right.
you know, because of course football is huge amongst girls.
Oh yeah.
And particularly, obviously, then that would have to take on a different dynamic because they won't have Premier League clubs looking at girls because there's no professional football at the Premier League clubs.
Right.
However, from the prep school's point of view, in many respects, girls football in the USA is as big, if not bigger, than boys football.
Oh yeah.
So from that point of view, I'm sure that, you know, but it's a learning process for digital. 5 years, we started with the under-20s, then we thought they were too old, let's start with. So now after 5 years, we're now developing, including the prep schools, and I'm sure that will be the next step. The girls will be the next step.
Fantastic.
But that is between digital and
of
you,
course.